Hi, this is Jason DeCanio from Jay's Retro Toys and Games for Monday, April 11, 2022. It's episode 10, and tonight on the show we're going to be looking at a game that, well, I know you probably played in your lifetime, and you're saying to yourself, oh, I didn't think it was going to be that great, and then it was popular, and it got even more popular. Yeah, a board game originally created in 1860 by Milton Bradley as the Checkered Game of Life. The Game of Life was U.S.'s first popular parlor game, and the game simulates a person's travels through his or her life from college to retirement with jobs, marriage, and possible children along the way. 2 to 4 or 6 players can participate in one game. Variations of the game accommodate up to 10 players. And the modern version was originally published 100 years later in 1960. It was created and co-designed by toy and game designer Reuben Klamer, and was heartily endorsed by Art Linkletter. It is now part of the permanent collection of the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History and inductee into the National Toy Hall of Fame. We'll be looking at the Game of Life today on Jay's Retro Toys and Games. All right, welcome to the show, and I hope you're doing fantastic, and I hope you had a great weekend as well, because it's Monday, April 11th, 2022. All right, so I hope you get ready for a game, and I hope you enjoyed the G.I. Joe toy on the last episode. It's out there ready for you, but today we're going to be looking at the Game of Life. Yo, and I've played the Game of Life, and I know most people have. If it's been around almost 1860 when it first came out, originally created, and then the publication came out 100 years later in 1960, the game now is officially 62 years old as of this year. So it's had a long history, and we're going to look at it right now. So the game was originally created in 1860 by Milton Bradley as the Checkered Game of Life, and was the first game created by Bradley, a successful lithographer. The game sold 45,000 copies by the end of its first year, and like many 19th century games, such as the Mansion of Happiness by S.B. Ives, in 1843 it had a strong moral message. The game board resembled a modified checkerboard. The object was to land on good spaces and collect 100 points. A player could gain 50 points by reaching Happy Old Age in the upper right corner, opposite infancy where one began. Instead of dice, which were associated with gambling, players used a 6-sided top called a teetotum. Yeah, teetotum. Then in 1960, 100 years later, the modern version, the Game of Life, was introduced, a collaboration between Reuben Klamer and Bill Markham. It consists of a track which passes along, over, and through small mountains, buildings, and other features. A player travels along the track in a small plastic automobile according to the spins of a small wheel on the board with spaces numbered 1 through 10. Each car has 6 holes into which pegs are added as the player gets married and acquires children. Some early modern editions have 8 cars. The modern game pegs or people are pink and blue to distinguish the genders. Blue for male, pink for female. Each player starts the game with 1 peg that matches his or her gender. And there is also a bank which includes money in $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, and $100,000 bills. Automobile, life, fire, and or homeowners insurance policies, depending on the version. $20,000 promissory notes and stock certificates. Other tangibles vary between versions of the game. $500 bills were dropped in the 1980s, as were $1,000 bills in 1992. Then The Game of Life, copyrighted by Milton Bradley Company in 1960, had some differences from later versions. For example, once a player reached the Day of Reckoning space, they had to choose one of two options. The first was to continue along the road to Millionaire Acres, if the player believed they had enough money to outscore all opponents. Now, the second option was to try to become a millionaire tycoon by betting everything on one number and spinning the wheel. The player immediately won the game if the chosen number came up, or went to the poor farm and was eliminated if it did not. If no player became a millionaire tycoon, the one with the highest final total won the game. And in addition, there were spaces that forced the player to go back. In the case a player landed on one of these, they were forced to take the shortest route and pay no attention to any penalties and rewards in doing so. This version had Art Linkletter as the spokesman, included his likeness on the $100,000 bills, with his name displayed on the bills as Arthur Linkletter Esquire, and a rousing endorsement from Linkletter on the cover of the box. It was advertised as a Milton Bradley 100th anniversary game and is a full 3D action game. Winning Moves currently markets a classic 1960s edition. About halfway through the production of this version of the 70s and 80s version, many dollar values doubled, and this description focuses on the later version with larger dollar amounts. The late 1980s version was also replaced the convertibles from the earlier versions with minivans. Then in the 60s era, convertibles were still used in the 1978 edition. The Poor Farm was renamed Bankrupt, in which losing players would retire to the country and become a philosopher. And Millionaire Acres was shortened to Millionaire, in which the winner can retire in style. And like the 1960s version, there were spaces that forced the player to go back. In the case a player landed on one of these, they were forced to take the shortest route and pay no attention to any penalties and rewards in doing so. The gold revenge squares added a byline, Sue for Damages, in 1978's edition. Then the Game of Life was updated in 1991 to reward players for good behavior, such as recycling trash and helping the homeless, by awarding players life tiles, each of which was worth a certain amount. At the end of the game, players added up the amounts on the tiles to their cash totals and counted towards the final total. The spaces that forced players to go back were removed starting with this version. Then in 1998, PC and Sony PlayStation video game adaptations of the Game of Life are based on the version. Players could play either the classic version using the life tiles or the enhanced version, where landing on a space with a life tile allows players to play one of several minigames. A 2005 updated version was released with few gameplay changes. The new Game of Life reduced the element of chance, although it is still primarily based on chance and still rewards players for taking risks. The 2013 version removed the lawsuit square, which was replaced by a lawsuit card. A new Keep This Card for 100K feature was added as well. The 2017 version includes pegs and squares for acquiring pets. The 2021 version includes invest cards and 6 different peg colors. There are other versions of the board Games of Life. You have the Hello Kitty version, the Game of Life in Monstropolis, Star Wars edition, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Wizard of Oz. Oh, it just goes on. Then there were so many video games. There was even a television show called the Game Show Edition on the Hub. And then there was also a board game called Life as a Black Man. Yes. And there you have it, folks, a very short and sweet Game of Life. Really didn't give that much in terms of how it was played, but you could tell that when you played it, you better be able to make sure that you were able to, get through the game in one piece, because there was a lot of risks to be taken in that game, but so as the Game of Life itself. It is, of course, chance, and spinning the wheel sure does make you want to go really dizzy sometimes spinning that wheel. And it looks pretty fun and interesting as well. It was a game that still to this day, 62 years later, holds up as one of the games that today's kids could play, because a Game of Life is something not to be laughed at. Next time on the show, we're going to look at the game that took your paycheck to the bank. We're going to be looking at Payday, not the heist. We're going to be looking at, That's a first-person shooter. Let me see if I can. There's got to be another. See, that's not it. Not Payday. The highest is Payday the game. Let's see, Payday. Let's see, so the game. Here we go. Payday board game by Parker Brothers. Yes, we'll be looking at that game that started in 1975 by the Parker Brothers. Should be a good one. Oh yeah, we've got some good ones coming up on that Wednesday edition. So that look out for that one for episode 11, where we're going to be doing back-to-back toys and games, and each one we'll be doing now 2 games, then 2 toys, 2 games, 2 toys, all that fun stuff. Do subscribe to the channel on YouTube, as well as find us on the Facebook group page and Anchor. We're there all the time, and we hope you will be with us on the next edition of Jay's Retro Toys and Games. I'm Jason DeCanio. Have yourself a great night. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Advertising Network for great more content like this one.